America likes to call itself a nation of freedom, of equality, of justice. But let's tell the truth. This nation was born in genocide and built on the backs of slavery. That truth isn't just inconvenient, it's fundamental. The Enlightenment gave the world powerful ideas: liberty, equality, reason. It rejected the divine right of kings and said power should belong to the people. It declared that all human beings are born with inalienable rights. But here's the thing: those ideals were never meant to include everyone. When Thomas Jefferson wrote, "All men are created equal," he owned human beings. When the founders spoke of liberty, they built a nation that depended on stealing land from the indigenous and enslaving Africans. The promise of the Enlightenment, that reason and equality could build a just society, was betrayed before the ink dried on the Declaration of Independence. For the Anishinaabe, life is built on relationships. Relationships with the land, with each other, with the spirit of all living things. Colonization wasn't just the theft of land. It was a severing of those relationships. The doctrine of discovery, which declared that indigenous lands could be claimed by Christian nations, wasn't just a legal tool. It was a spiritual violence, a denial of our humanity. When Dr. King says this nation was born in genocide, he's speaking a truth we've known for centuries. The genocide of the indigenous wasn't just about taking land. It was about erasing a way of being, a way of knowing, a way of living in balance with the world. That scar of racial hatred, it disfigured not just the people it targeted, but the soul of the colonizers too. Both the Enlightenment and Ojibwe teachings value balance and justice. For the Enlightenment, justice was supposed to come from reason and equality. For the Anishinaabe, justice comes from respecting the natural order, from living in harmony with the land and each other. But America? America took the Enlightenment's ideals and twisted them to justify genocide and slavery. It used reason to argue that some races were inferior. It used liberty to justify stealing land and lives. And it did all this while claiming to be a beacon of freedom. The genocide of indigenous peoples wasn't just a historical event. It's ongoing. You see it in the reservations, the broken treaties, the pipelines that desecrate sacred lands. You see it in the fact that indigenous women go missing and murdered at rates no one cares to talk about. And slavery? The scar of slavery didn't end with abolition. It morphed into segregation, Jim Crow, mass incarceration. These aren't accidents. They're the deliberate results of a system built on racial hatred and exploitation. Dr. King's words aren't just a critique of the past. They're a warning for the present. The systems of oppression built at this nation's founding are still alive, still disfiguring us. But where does that leave us? Both the Enlightenment and Ojibwe teachings tell us that healing starts with truth. We have to confront the reality of what this nation is built on: genocide, slavery, exploitation. We have to name it, understand it, and refuse to look away. For the Anishinaabe, healing also comes from restoring relationships. That means listening to the voices that have been silenced. It means honoring treaties. It means reparations, not just for slavery, but for the theft of land and lives. And it means reimagining what liberty and equality can look like when they're truly for everyone. The ideals of the Enlightenment, liberty, equality, justice, aren't the problem. The problem is that America has never lived up to them. But it's not too late. We can reclaim those ideals, but only if we're willing to dismantle the systems of oppression that betray them. only if we're willing to build a society where liberty means freedom from exploitation, where equality means justice for all races, and where justice means honoring the humanity of every living being, human, animal, and the earth itself. Dr. King said, "The arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice." But here's the truth. That arc doesn't bend on its own. It bends when we pull it, when we fight for it, when we refuse to accept anything less than the justice our ancestors envisioned. The question is, are we ready to pull?